Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the commentary desk. One more go round here as we move over to North America for the remainder of your Saturday coverage. My name is Bart. This is Hindu Man. And yeah, we're moments away from our first game out of North America. It's going to be Team Solo Mid going up against Enemy Esports. Before we get there, let's take a look at the standings overall.
You can see where TSM is right now. 3 games down on Eager. So they were looking to try and close the gap there. Meanwhile, Enemy, their opponents today, 1 game up on Cognitive Gaming. Even at the moment with Cloud9, but Cloud9 does have a game set in hand.
Enemy, definitely a good enough team to put the screws to TSM here. I'd say TSM and Enemy probably on equal footing, considering what we've seen out of TSM in the last couple of games they've played after the roster swap-ups Pardue.
Completely agree, but Enemy, though, for the most part, what we've seen out of them so far this season, it's been a good performance from them. They had a great start to the season, but they started to whittle down a little bit in terms of how much they had skill-wise for themselves, and they couldn't keep that standing up. They've started to drop a little bit off. TSM were one of the first teams they did that to as well, where TSM have defeated them already 2-0 this season.
They have indeed, but it was a different roster and with a different solo laner altogether. You'll see here, there's of course no Divios, but there is a bchm and Boosh returning to the mid lane. DaGarz will still be your jungler, Eonic and Snoopy making back the duo lane once again. Certainly enough talent on this team to win, but it hasn't been put together successfully in a little while.
Well, let's be honest, look at the last run of performance. Both these sets of teams are 3-3 in terms of the games they've played. The last 3 sets they've both played, they've gone 3-3 with their respective the opposition, so to speak. But they did take a game off Envy last time, TSM. So they are on the up. We saw them when they first brought bchm on. They struggled to begin with, find their feet again. But it looks like things are looking good for TSM now.
Yeah, we'll see if they can do it versus Enemy. Yeah, I'd say this one, probably on paper, betting odds are a 1-1 for this matchup. Or do you like 2-0 for TSM?
I'm closing. I feel like TSM should take these.
Okay. Well, we'll find out here in just a moment as we get into the P's and B's, the eponymous picks and bans that begin every Smite game here from the Pro League. And Enemy's going to go ahead and ban away Thor from young DaGarz.
Well, the funny thing is, Thor being banned out is one of those picks that hasn't been banned so much this season. He's been picked a lot. He's got one of the highest pick ratios. So Ket definitely up there on the ban register alongside some Wukong for the most part of the top 2. Hell pretty much up there as all roundabout. Now even NA is starting to ban that one as well.
Geb going to be removed by Enemy. So a couple of pretty standard, like ranked bans out of Enemy here.
It feels that way. It feels technically a little bit of focus at Eonic and at DaGarz.
Right, yeah. But
this leaves some Wukong open. Giannis is also available as well. And
well, it means Enemy only gets one of those kind of top A+ picks. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Thor, like I said, it's kind of like the ranked bans, but it's also 2 of the best gods and 2 of the best players, their signature gods, and Freya locked in right away for Enemy for their duo lane. Leaving TSM, Sun Wukong, Giannis if they want it.
And they should. There's no reason not to take those 2 gods right now. Yeah. Sun Wukong very strong in multiple roles. Khepri on the table, and it looks like we're going to actually see that one picked up. It's not been... He's been let through a lot in North America and not drafted as often, but it seems that we're starting to see the rise of him now that teams have had to play around him a little bit more and play with him.
So will they take the Giannis? I think the Giannis here then over the Sun Wukong.
Okay.
All right, well...
I mean, Sobek right now is on the rise. He did get some buffs to his abilities in terms of mana cost. So it's allowing him to sustain a little bit better, have more damage output because he's not running out of mana. But this draft is kind of strange to me, Bart. Like, not seeing some Wukong or Giannis being picked up just yet is very strange. Very strange.
We'll be forever surprised if Giannis isn't picked in the first 3 picks here. Hunbots. We've seen this god kind of quickly rise up through the ranks of value. Very high priority god now. One of the go-to junglers that we've seen.
And he comes and goes as Hunbots for the most part because people realize Fear No Evil is so useful at all stages of the game. Right from the outset, once he hits level 5 all the way through to level 20, can be very, very impactful at creating space as well as catching teams off guard for the most part if you can get in late to those fights. Wow.
And Aphrodite. Okay, so the old Khepri Aphrodite pairing. 1 single target shouldn't die. TSM maybe setting up for a Kali. Wouldn't be surprised to see a Kali ban out of Enemy here. Sobek brings the anti-heal and one of the core anti-healers removed from the equation here to kind of synergize with that Aphrodite pick. And you can see Enemy going for a lot of burst damage.
Very, very good call, by the way, about the Kali there, especially with that front line they're going to have with the Sobek and Khepri as well. Put Kali alongside that Aphrodite. TSM, very, very strong. DaGarz has run that in the jungle before as well. Sun Wukong and Giannis got through bans, picks, and then counter bans. I did not expect to see that.
Well, TSM, I don't think they can fit a Giannis in this lineup anymore. Enemy still have an opportunity to grab him. Sun Wukong not really also viable on the side of TSM. They need damage at this point, and they're not going to get a ton out of the Neith, although they'll get, they'll get a reasonable amount of hunter damage, but it's not that late game carry that you would expect out of the Khepri Aphrodite pairing.
I agree. I mean, Neith probably going to be obviously in the hunter role here for Snoopy, up against a Freya. Freya, for the most part, she should be able to be fine there, out-sustain her for the most part, as well as impact her with the Unravel as well, for the fact it reduces attack speed.
A jungler pending, most likely, here from TSM, unless someone's figured out a way to make the Sobek jungle work, but I don't think the mana costs are the problem there. That seems very unlikely to me. Odin going to be drafted by enemy here for their solo lane, most likely.
That's a good call, though, with Odin. Look at the team. What escapes have they got to get out of the ring?
Yeah, which kind of begs the question of why the Nuwa? Why was the Nuwa banned out there in the second position, not the Odin? It was kind of the obvious choice, right? As I said, Sobek, one of the few core anti-healers. Odin obviously being the probably #1 in that category with 100% and all the anti-attack speed.
We're looking at a jungler here for last pick. It is going to be the Kali. We expected that one. Kali, the only god that can actually get out of that ring as well, but will be impacted by the ring with the 100% healing reduction. So if she pops the ultimate and tries to heal back up afterwards, not going to be
the only thing that I can surmise here is that there will, like, either TSM just kind of lost sight of the Odin or they baited that pick. I don't know exactly why they baited the pick, though.
Very strange.
But it seems that has to be the case, because they know that Odin's going to crush this lineup, potentially.
And the scariest thing, Bart, is that Wukong and Giannis were not. I think that's the first game Wukong and Giannis, this split, have not been picked up.
Not for big man, probably, yeah.
Very strange.
Maybe it's the baits with the Khepri, right? Because Khepri's ultimate isn't technically a heal, so even if the Odin gets the ring down, they still have a good counter to a single target death. I don't know. That's maybe a stretch. Well, hopefully we'll in the post-game interview we'll be able to shed some light onto that. But.
So TSM's composition on paper, before we even talk about the Odin some more, is basically gonna be Kali kills everybody. Everybody else is there to support and allow him to do that. And DaGarz is gonna be looking for that all day. Sobek's gonna be giving plenty of CC opportunities. Neith as well does the same sort of thing. And then you've got the double survival ability. Well, triple survival abilities when you think about it. Khepri ultimate with the blessing. You've got Afro ultimate, Undying Love, and of course Kali's got her own ultimate, which will allow her to survive death.
That immunity to death. It also gives her a % heal. One of the last kind of buffs to the new Kali.
And it brought her back into the meta a little bit because of that. But Odin will cancel that one out as well if he's inside the ring. So he'll have to be careful about being in the ring. Problem is, though, is that when you look at the lineup from enemy, a lot of these gods have ways to get away from this Kali very effectively. Freya, for one, Valkyrie's Discretion, get out of trouble immediately. Athena can ult away, Humbat's Fear No Evil can create some room as well as a jump away with the Somersault. And obviously jumping to the monkey. And Agni, good path of flames away. He should be fine.
Well, I thought that maybe it would be the Odin solo. It's not. It's going to be the Athena solo lane for Salt Machine going into bichm's Sobek. So it's going to be a slap fight over there on the right side lane. Left side lane, though, I think that Neith and Khepri is probably one of the scary lanes I have to go into as a Freya. You're not incredibly mobile. If you get plucked, you're going to get rooted. And, you're going to need the Odin there at all times. Because if PainDeViande's not clearing that wave for you, things get very, very treacherous.
This call actually coming out as well from enemy to start with the jungler and the mid laner on the right and not take the red buff. I think it's a very good call because an Aphrodite and a Kali not going to be able to invade on a red buff as effectively early on as some of the other junglers.
Yeah,
so leaving that one up will allow for this red buff to be a bit more impactful at later game, the later stage of the game.
Elizabeth this timing as well. Adjust and Chaos going to take these left side camps. Ding level 3 for the mid laner. They'll clear this and then go take their red buff post haste directly after. They also looking at TSM, though, they have pretty good ward coverage of that rotation. So you may see Khepri rotate over and try to aggress there. They'll get a good amount of damage there onto Chaos, yeah. He's going to dash away.
Did have 2 health potions at the start, though, so we won't have to go back to base here. Just can't get picked again. They're looking for the red, though. You can see the pressure that TSM are putting in duo lane as well to try and allow this to happen.
No, they're trying to kill. Yeah, they see the Kali, though.
They could actually go for
Agni. You're right. I mean, you're right on about the amount of damage they actually have. This is a bit of trouble for Adjust. Nice placement of that back off from Theboosh, but he's now out of mana. They've whittled them down nicely, but they haven't really secured much off of it. Maybe the better play there is the red.
Potentially would have been the red. Just actually going to trade back nicely with that overhand smash, and those archers in tow just helping out.
Now the red buff going to be aggressed into Khepri and Neith are there, but this time not as favorable of an opportunity for TSM.
Not really. I mean, you can see Odin's already on the rotation, PainDeViande well aware of it, but I like the call to go back harpies there because they know they're up against, the bird bomb coming out could potentially steal it quite easily.
They may
could be a mistake.
Continue going in here, hitting 2 now. In comes Sun Wukong. That's slowed on Eonic. Eonic's dead. That's going to be your first blood there. Backflip's going to come up from Neith. She's going to be banished as well, and this should be a second kill as well going on to Snoopy, the root, the stuns coming out, the birds off the mark. Undying Love, not enough. Down will go the Neith as well to the gumballs. PainDeViande walks out of there. That Raven Shield doing a lot. Now the slow comes out from Wukong again. Kali forces her leap. Now she's skilled into that also at level 3, which is worth noting. I don't think you always want to take Nimble Strike at level 3.
I think this was a communication issue for TSM more than anything else. They went aggressive for the back harpies. I like the call there, but they lost the pressure in the mid lane that they had earlier on. When they lost the mid lane pressure, TSM didn't realize that in the duo lane, so they got isolated and collapsed on by 4 members of enemy, picks up 2 kills, and really puts a bad situation because Freya getting an early kill is very important.
Yeah, you're right on there with the miscommunication for sure. I think it's exactly what it was. Nail on the head, if you will. bchm and an old salt machine here.
This is support versus support matchup. Neither's really going to get a kill on the other one. It's both sustain forever and ever. The big impactful thing here is Salt Machine with that ultimate, that global ultimate, can make an impact across the map later on. And that's what you'll be looking to see. We're going to have to see bchm look for a teleport at some point. Just to keep up with the rotations.
Just to keep up on the rotations. But the Sobek coming into the fight doesn't always change the fight in your favor. It's really more of a kind of counter initiator or a really specialist in kind of catching up to the enemy team. It's similar to Athena in that regard and preventing them from escaping when they're trying to bail out of a fight that hasn't gone their way.
What I want to see from enemy is exactly what they're doing here. Group up with the support as well. Look for early pressure with the ring, with the fear no evil before TSM's composition gets online, because TSM's composition is all about teamfight control, sustaining this Kali up forever and ever and ever and getting her all the kills and assists. Whereas enemy, well, they're looking to pick targets off, keep them pinned in a ring and bring them down before the healing can go off.
Solo lane blue was dropped by enemy, not going to be there for bchm on the next spawn. They'll take the right side mid camps as well. Left side mid camps haven't been approached yet by TSM. They'll start shading that way now. But enemy's already back into the lane. They'll force out the dash from the Agni. Eonic trying to position himself for a pluck, but the Odin's just not the target he's looking for.
Yeah, it's just going to be a farm fest. That's all I can really see out of TSM. They'll look for a potential pick if someone gets caught out of position, but very, very difficult at this stage of the game to catch someone with a root on a Khepri, especially when they've got Somersault to get away, Path of Flames as well, and Odin's Leap.
Left side, Neith considering taking a look at Freya there. Knows she's at the purple buff, but instead will go back and farm. Vetium versus Snoopy Man.
This lane's going well for bchm early on as well.
So.
It's been allowed to. That early kill has really helped him out for the most part, as we see aggression onto bchm on the right, but you're not going to find a kill on Sobek just yet.
Yeah, no, they just don't have the damage here with the Athena. Shield Wall does quite a bit, but Sobek has a tremendous amount of base HP.
And going back to bchm, I mean, because he got that early kill, he's going to be able to get his haste and Fatalis online a little bit earlier, which increases his amount of sustain thanks to his passive with the pulse. So against the push power that we're going to see coming out from Snoopy on that Neith, it's going to be retroactive now. It's not going to be as effective as it once was in the early stages.
Yeah, that's right. And there's not really a lot of kill potential in this lane either, I would say. Snoopy, with that Transcendence, is definitely just looking to farm. He'll play this one pretty safe. And Freya's haste and Fatalis doesn't really give her much kill potential unless the enemy's overextended. So it should be a quiet left side lane, a quiet right side lane, and it really coming down to farming in the cores in the middle.
Now, PainDeViande does have Blink online, and I want to see him go in aggressive. If he can catch, potentially boost out of position here, or even Eonic. If they can get him trapped inside that ring, they can burst him down very quick with a Blink ring, and then he's got the Bird Bomb to follow up, as well as all the damage that Agni and a Humbats can put out on someone trapped inside there.
No silence, however, to prevent that Khepri ultimate from coming out.
I mean, he'll get the ultimate off, but burning that ultimate is important for them if they can find it. But here's a big play for Snoopy.
He's going to blink in. They have the Athena ultimate as well. Over the top they come. Snoopy, he's going to get caught out of position there nicely. Great rotation. Right around the corner there. The ward, not going to spot that one in time. Snoopy, it was already too late. He tried to backflip to get out of that, but a third kill now picked up by enemy. They're not getting a ton of gold off the back of this, though. Only about 800.
The only problem is, like, what we just saw there is teleport was already used there. But we see it picked up by Salt Machine, but they don't. Actually, he doesn't use it to get back, he's already used it, so it means that bchm's going to get a lot of free tower pressure here. He loses a wave of experience to Salt Machine for doing this rotation, but it does put bchm and the Humbats ahead, which is important for them. They can afford to lose the tower potentially.
No one even bothers to hit the Bird Bomb there. He gets a full damage Raven shield out, and then leaps away with Lunge, I believe, is the leap ability on Odin.
It's a good start for enemy, though. I mean, the early invasion from TSM has cost them a lot of their early game of just farm and play safe. And enemy got themselves off to a good start for 7 minutes in, being up 3 kills against TSM with the composition they've got. They get themselves online just quick enough, and now they're looking for invasion too.
Yeah, this will be their second successful invade on the blue buff, and yeah, there it will go, but in comes TSM. Odin going to be used, Neith ultimate going to be flying as well. That one's going to go out on to bchm. Doesn't matter, down will go PainDeViande.
Well, the turnaround is there.
That kill. Kali ultimate's going to be used as well here, but the rotations will come out from enemy. Nimble Strike over the wall, trying to be followed up by adjustment. Now he's really deep, and here's Khepri. Khepri going to be able to pull him back in if he wants it. The hug bug not going to go out just yet. Still waiting for that pluck. Now he's going to grab one. They got the Athena. They're
stun.
probably not the target that they were really looking for.
Khaos saved the day, though. That stun at the end after the Path of Flames just stops him from being picked up there, potentially, at the end. But you saw what TSM wants to do. They want to try and find the targets. PainDeViande got himself caught there because he used his Bird Bomb to bring down the blue buff, and he went aggressive on him, and now Khaos in trouble as well.
Oh, didn't get the kiss off in time.
They get the bird's damage though, but it'll be okay for the time being. But you can see what TSM's looking for. The problem is DaGarz doesn't have the damage yet, which is all of the story of Kali through the early game. If you can get 1 or 2 early kills, it's fantastic. But at the moment, doesn't have the damage to bring down some of the tankier targets that you can see. Athena, Odin, they're not the easiest targets to really weather through their HP and their resistances.
Well, they did get an assist at least out of some of that early aggression, but it's just the 1 kill for TSM. Still 4 for enemy. A bit of gold has been recouped. But it was lost kind of right back there. Now it's 1,400 gold is the lead for enemy. A real lead, I'd say,
but it's not
experience.
It's not a big enough lead right now. They need to keep developing this lead. We've seen teams, one of the most famous teams that ever did the Kali Aphrodite hookup was Titan, where they came back and won a late game fight that was, I think it was like 15,000, 20,000 behind in gold, and they still came back and won because of the combination of those two gods together. With a Khepri and a Sobek now thrown in that mix as well. The longer this game goes, the better it's going to look that TSM can turn it around, whatever state of the game it is.
Yeah, enemy's going to be happy with the way the laning phase went, but they haven't really capitalized successfully on it with objective play. And they haven't really pulled very far ahead of the Kali. And they haven't really done a tremendous job of keeping her down. It's been fairly successful, though. As you can see, Hunbot's about 1,100 gold ahead, especially with that first blood going to his credit. He's been involved in most of the kills so far in this one as well. In fact, all of them with 2 kills and 2 assists. So yeah, it's really more of an amazing game for a Just, and it's been a fine game for Garz so far, but enemy maybe not doing enough just yet to prevent that. If this game starts creeping past 35 minutes into the 40-minute mark, you could see TSM easily winning this one, I'd say, with only 1,000 gold lead through the first 10.
Most certainly, especially with the composition, like we said. Just as well in the jungle for enemy. For me, he's been a big linchpin in enemy's success this season. He's really stepped into that role and been an additional threat for this lineup. Khaos has done good work in this mid lane, but he felt like he needed an additional jungle that would allow some extra pressure, and Just is not scared of that aggression. He's been in situations where he gets himself in awkward positions, but knows how to outplay and get himself out of them at the same time.
It's a 3-man farm fest at the red buff for TSM. Going to split that experience up.
And this is the pace of the game I expect from TSM. They're not going to go aggressive. It's up to enemy to try and make this aggression happen. So for the spectators at home, they may be like, God, this is slow. Well, it's TSM's game plan. They just want to weather the storm for the early game and then look for the big team fights.
Yeah, they've done so successfully, I think. We've said it a couple times. Enemy, the real benefit they've had is they've invaded this blue buff several times, and they've invaded a few fights there that they've won. Pretty much across the board now.
Look at this. Look at this rotation coming out from enemy. Sorry, from the other side of the things. TSM tried to go aggressive, but now they're in trouble.
Oh, they got exposed there. Caught outside of the tower. Grabbed by the Odin ring. They've kept Neith out as well. Neith will return
Snoopy.
1 kill, will Snoopy, but he'll be forced to backflip away. It'll be a 2-for-1.
They're gonna go.
The mid laner support taken down. In goes Hunbot. Fear no evil. Garz. He's gonna be able to pop the ultimate in time. He's trying to move forward, find this kill. Onto a Just, not gonna get it in time. A great damage coming out into. Oh, he did get it.
Just at the end, but Snoopy's gonna trade back.
Snoopy not going to get the trade there. He's got to respect Salt Machine.
He survived just about. Vetium ran out of pulse shots there. It was one more shot and he definitely would have fallen down. But Snoopy does a good job of turning that one around for the team of TSM. But it was their aggression that happened there. What we saw was TSM tried to make something happen in the middle and the duo side of the map because they were looking to invade the blue buff of bchm again. Immediately, though, the response came out from enemy and the rotation was great. That ended up winning the fight. PainDeViande coming right back over, and that ring really impacted it.
There's a shell 3 on Khepri in that fight as well. He's had it for some time, just really being used for the first time there. But that was the first item selected by Khepri right after those cooldown boots. And
it's a good choice.
Yeah, it wasn't tremendously effective. I think they were probably looking for a big turnaround there, but they got just so caught up with that Odin ultimate. Really a great play by PainDeViande.
But I really like the shell pickup. The shell pickup is a wise idea. You're up against an enemy team that's all about burst in the early game if they can find it, especially with, I guess, an Odin. Odin's going to have a lot of burst damage that can really come out and influence a team fight. Just against a Khepri, if they try an all-in Khepri, the bird bomb is a lot of damage. So early shell, protective, and it'll be very useful as the game goes on as well, especially with some of the other targets that they're going to have to try and bring down.
A little curious for the Athena here to go for the E-Staff before the Breastplate of Valor. It's been kind of the favored the favored build-up has been kind of these cooldown boots into Breastplate of Valor for these tanky Guardians. But I think the pen boots into E-Staff is a lot more damage than what Sobek has.
Completely agree. He's looking for damage, and he potentially could have gone for Warlock Sash, but will he get the farm enough to stack it up? Is
Probably
the question.
not Warlocks, yeah.
Because he's rotating all the way around the map all the time with the ultimate, he's going to be a little bit more careful with it. So, but blinking from DaGarz going aggressive. He broke the link there from the Theboosh, and now the Theboosh and Khepri ringed in together, and Khepri's all alone. He's going to get ringed, and Theboosh is in a whole world of trouble there too.
Yeah, Garz kind of baited his team there. I mean, he got very, very aggressive. He said breaking the link, nothing that Aphrodite could do to bail them out. Odin ring back up, and enemy just collapse on them. Enemy smells blood in the water there, and a quick response from the squad. PainDeViande leading the charge yet again with that Odin ring. They find kills again on Theboosh and Eonic.
And I said earlier on about the miscommunication at the first blood that happened. Well, as in miscommunication again. I don't know whether the call was correct that they wanted to go aggressive, or they just thought there was only one or two people in the mid lane that they were looking for there. But Garz blinking in, getting a good stun. The team were a little bit late on the follow-up, obviously because they're slower than a blink, so they couldn't close the gap as quick. And DaGarz has to disengage and leave his two supports that were trying to support him isolated, and they end up getting killed.
Back camp's being farmed up. The lane starting to reform now. No towers down just yet through 13 minutes in this one. 12 kills in 13 minutes. A reasonably paced game. Little to the credit of TSM that it's a slower game, but they are starting to fall farther and farther behind. 2,500 gold now that they are down versus the enemy squad, and it's not really like too bad, right? They haven't lost the Gold Fury, most importantly. Or any towers yet, so objective play still being reined in fairly well.
And the funny thing is that Gold Fury in the early stage of the game as well, but isn't as impactful as it once was in previous splits. There's with the changes to how it scales with time in terms of how much gold it gives you, then it's not going to be as detrimental to them. If they did lose one or two early Gold Furies to this enemy lineup, the problem is that they need to get the communication sorted out from what I can tell. TSM has struggled a little bit already in this game, and if they want to get to that mid-late game where they're looking for this composition to really come online, they can't let the lead snowball too much out of control because of bad communication.
Yeah, they want to keep it in 5K, and that's really where those objectives factor in, right? Because it's about a 3K lead now. Had there been a Gold Fury and a tower or two, that would have been a quick 5K, and 5Ks turn into 10Ks really quickly. Off the back of one fight, usually, all of a sudden you're looking at a nearly insurmountable lead.
I agree. I mean, but if they can get to late game in terms of, when I say late game, I mean, everyone hits level 20, and they're still in the game. Even if their gold lead is 10, 15,000, they could potentially still come back in by one very good team fight where Garz goes off, you know? He's the one that they want to try and get the kills onto, so it's about him having the farm, not necessarily the rest of the team. You could afford bchm to be behind on a Sobek. You could afford a Khepri to be behind. Even an Aphrodite, because you could just turn into just an Undying Love bot that's just going to continue to sustain.
Well, back in we go, guys. Continuing this one right along. Back to the mid lane we go as well. And once again, the Odin ring going to come out. And like we've seen this one before.
And we have Undying Love has to come out for Theboosh, but Theboosh still going to fall down. Garz also hit by the blessing by Eonic, but he's not going to continue the follow-up. You can see trying to pull in. PainDeViande was there, but now with Vetium's rotation, well, that's going to digress TSM from aggressing once more. And Theboosh falls down again in mid.
bchm also forced out of lane by Athena there. He's back. So all around the board now, enemy getting the better. And as we just mentioned, it all kind of comes down to what can they get out of it. And they'll get a lot of farm onto their Athena.
Trying to pick.
And they're going to look for a pick here. Snoopy and Eonic not taking the bait just yet. The banish comes out. Luckily,
they got
starting to forward. Eonic definitely dead. No ring available to take out Snoopy again. They'll miss the taunt onto Garz. Garz will be able to clean up a just on the backside of that one. And a small sliver of sunshine through the rain cloud for TSM as they do get another kill out onto their carry.
Wow.
The ultimate going to be forced out by Kali here. Destruction used. Destruction successful, keeping her alive for now. PainDeViande, Bird Bomb is there. Not going to leap in. Away goes bchm. He's forced to dash defensively. And Saltmachine holding a nice front line there. As he moves into his Void Stone as well.
Not a good fight for enemy, honestly, from what I want to say. They got a good pick in the mid lane. They tried to bait out and pick some more kills off before they did the Gold Fury. But what they allowed was TSM to allow the Gold Fury to stay standing now because they went aggressive. On top of that, Garz got a kill. Don't give kills to the Kali if you can help it. Just falls down, and now TSM get the chance to aggress and potentially go for this tier 1 tower.
Saltmachine going in, feeling himself a little bit there. Tail Whip coming out, taunt as well. He knows that he has a really nice itemization advantage over what TSM has at the moment.
Damage-wise as well is one thing they won't expect from Athena. Even normally when we see junglers or solo lane Athenas, you don't see as much damage online at this stage of the game from them. So he'll be bursting a lot more than they expect. So they might not even use the beads they have because they'll think, oh, I can just eat this one and then potentially die because of it.
And the E-Staff, Void Stone or Ward Stone now pick up moving into the Void Stone. It's quite a bit of survivability as well. They're both hybrid items. So yeah, you'll get a fairly resilient but also quite tanky, or I'm sorry, quite damage capable Athena.
And I love the Void Stone coming out from Salt Machine as well, because I think it's a really wise idea. With this Ward Stone coming online, he's going to be on the front line for most of the fights with the taunts, which is going to use that aura to reduce magical protections, which allows Vetium on this Freya to get extra damage off, which allows Khaos to drop bombs on top, which is also going to allow them to just deal more damage in fights.
Yeah, Pythagorum's piece, I would expect to see.
Later on, definitely. I don't know necessarily I'd like to see it on Salt Machine, but it could be useful on Vetium for him, and then it'll also allow Khaos and Salt Machine to be impactful with that Pythags piece as well for survivability.
Looking at TSM's itemization, though, a little bit curious that we don't see more magic defense coming out of, really namely Sobek here. He's gone for the Breastplate of Valor and into an uncommon sash, it looks like. Yeah, it's a little bit strange for me that we're not going to see him go into what could be a very, very high-value Emerald Talisman.
Good point with the Breastplate of Valor, actually, because he's not really up against that much physical presence on the enemy team. You know, Vetium's going to be the late-game guy that we're looking at. It's only a just in PainDeViande, and PainDeViande we know, and on Odin, he kind of falls off a little bit late-game, not so much
It's okay,
now,
right? Because like minions do physical damage, adjust ganks are physical damage, and he's the real threat in the lane. Hold on, that thought, though. Rings come out, Theboosh in a bit of trouble. He's going to use everything from the Aphrodite. He's going to be revived by the Khepri, but no cooldowns really remaining. And the retreat from TSM, they're trying to get out of this one cleanly. bchm, he'll take quite a bit of damage as well. The Khepri root coming out over the wall goes DaGarz to bail out himself. Theboosh still alive somehow in this fight. Now we'll finally go down to the Freya ultimate over the wall. bchm under half HP. Snoopy, he's going to make his way into the fight, but he's fighting into just targets that are too resilient here. He'll find bchm around the corner with the backflip. In comes DaGarz again. Incense is good. Out comes the Dot as well, trying to stick to the Athena. She's going to be able to dash away. Nimble Strike going to be forced out again by DaGarz. If he uses that, he may die. Salt Machine must be his target. Needs to get this kill. Yes, he will get it. Now full HP, and this one's going to start turning back around for TSM. Khaos, however, does run down one more kill before all's said and done. He's back to the base, and this could be the Gold Fury that they've been looking for on TSM.
And that's going to close the gold gap back to even again. Big thing in that fight was Snoopy and bchm. They did so much work in that fight. The rest of them was fighting to survive for the most part. DaGarz went in, tried to do what he could, but he couldn't do much. Snoopy, though, created one zone on one side of the map near the Gold Fury. bchm controlled the other zone, so they couldn't continue the aggression on Theboosh, and that just allowed them to heal back up and re-engage again. bchm and Snoopy, for me, were the big impacts in that fight. The other guys, honestly, they just had to weather the storm and wait for the cooldowns to come back up and go aggressive again.
Yeah, anti-attack speed going to be coming out from enemy here fairly shortly, I would imagine. That's got to be where they're looking to next.
I hope so. We don't see much Witchblade.
Sobek go for the Runic Shield.
We don't see many Witchblades coming out, but I wouldn't mind seeing one picked up for the most part, especially maybe onto Vetium as an opportunity. It does give him good attack speed, which is also going to reduce physical damage done by Snoopy, as well as Carly as well, and it will itemize quite nicely for him. I wouldn't mind seeing a Witchblade coming out, especially because Carly will be looking for him in the team fights if he can find him.
Yeah, you would expect Carly probably likewise to find a Frostbound Hammer, a Runic Shield, a Witchblade, something that gives him a little bit better boxing against the Freya as well later on.
Well, the Fatalis is what he's gone for with this build now, so he's gone for the speed option, not necessarily. We do see Frostbounds now and again, which
it'll probably be like the 6th item, right? I'm assuming like 5th or 6th item he'll go for something a little bit that gives him some boxing potential against the Freya.
Potentially, yeah, or maybe something more defensive. Maybe Shield of Mail of Renewal would be
Mail of Renewal,
good,
the Runic Shield as well.
Runic Shield more effective, obviously, for the magical protections, but Mail of Renewal, because if one of his teammates manages to get a kill and he was involved in, that he's going to continue healing, which would be quite impactful too. Not for the physical protections, because it won't work against Freya.
Yeah, somewhere Brandon just like had an epiphany when you said that.
Mail
of Renewal, Kali.
And you'll be talking about it for weeks going, I just did this. Listen, everyone needs to do this now. I made it up. It was me.
Yep. No respect.
No respect. Ever. But for now, enemy's whole game plan of this sort of early game, let's get picks, we'll use the Odin to try and carry out the Boosh, which has worked very, very well, is starting to wane now because Carly's online. Yeah,
you're in an even game now. You do have a fairly low Aphrodite, 4 levels behind the Agni.
But that's not important.
Really taken off, yeah.
It's
not
important.
She scales incredibly well off of existing. She doesn't really need levels or items, does she?
All he has to do is link up with DaGarz every single time. DaGarz goes crazy. He throws out a couple of heals, uses the Undying Love before DaGarz has to use his ultimate. Then Khepri can save him as well. And then with that, it just means that consistently, we're just going to see DaGarz run rampant. And meanwhile, Snoopy has been unchecked, apart from that early pressure we saw out of Adjust and Salt Machine rotating over. Snoopy's being left unchecked. And if you leave an unchecked Hunter alone, he's just going to wreck you on the backside. And
for that matter, though, Vetium as well, right? I mean, no one's checked Vetium either.
True. No, I mean, Vetium's okay for the time being. He doesn't have to worry just yet. It's when he because he's the one that Carly. I want to say Carly will want to get him first, but with a Freya, it's Valkyrie's discretion immediately. So he can always get himself out of bad situations. Then he's got the Banish to back himself up as well if he needs to, if that becomes an issue as well.
Oh, there's the incense coming out. Bit of damage dealt, and back to the pause we go.
Couple of technical issues won't take us too long, but you can see the aggression coming out from Kali again, just looking to try and put the pressure on. And now he's got Hasten Fatalities and the Executioner. He's going to start shredding through opposition very, very quickly.
Yeah. Now, you saw in that last fight, the Salt Machine was kind of like, oh, I'll just kite the Kali and wait till our cooldowns come back up and we'll kill her. And Destruction bailed out DaGarz there. This time around, though, with the Executioner, that the Athena can't really have the luxury of taking, 8, 9, 10 in hands. It starts adding up quickly.
And as this game goes on now, they're going to be like, okay, we've got to be careful of Kali because Kali's going to be coming through our backline the whole time. However, if we don't kill the Aphrodite, then the Aphrodite is going to continue to sustain the Kali, and it's not going to be a good situation for them.
Now the fight is continuing. Kali has been forced out. The Nimble Strike is complete. Eonic, he finds himself in trouble. His ultimate forced out. bchm, he's going to use his ultimate as well. There's a lot of ultimates used by TSM, all defensively. Adjust does ultimately find Eonic under tower.
Yeah, Eonic was watching his backside more often than not, but in mid lane, DaGarz is the one being focused down by enemies, which is a smart idea as well. Keep this damage deal out of the fight. Will Weaver comes out to try and support him, but a good bomb from Khaos. He may pay for his life, though, because those doves will tick down and find a kill in response.
PainDeViande knocked up, stunned, plucked here at some point, but nope, back over the wall he goes. Now they'll turn their attention to Vetium. Will he go deep? bchm not feeling it just now.
So a messy fight coming out from both teams there, but Enemy definitely the ones coming out on top of that one. It looked like Enemy wanted to go aggressive in the jungle. DaGarz saw it, came in, put some aggression on, didn't find what he was looking for though, and instead it was Eonic that ended up falling down. And TSM though, after the aggression, because of the backing from Enemy, they're the ones that get a tower.
Yeah, there's the old experienced team showing through there.
Just realizing opportunity to just go and try and put map objectives on the board for yourself. Just give yourself a little bit more gold, and you can see that even though they lost that fight, in my eyes, for the most part, it was the gold lead that went to TSM.
Jotun's into Brawlers for Hunbots, so not that traditional crit build-up. He's going to try to deal with the healing.
You have to get some anti-heal. That's the most important thing of the day. You have to buy some anti-heal in some form to try and go against this whole opposition of sustain. bchm has heals. Eonic, well, he has that ultimate. That's not going to be a bit different. But Theboosh, DaGarz, Snoopy all have heal abilities that are going to impact the game the whole time. I don't think one Brawlers is going to be enough. They're going to need some weakening curses, but who's going to get them is the question.
bchm trying to bait Salt Machine there and missed the pluck, unfortunately. Incense going to be used. Trying to get in position as Khepri as well. Need to get a body block off his DaGarz, and just too fast as Salt Machine. bchm just off the mark with that pluck there. Unfortunately, was trying to get that set up. And now, in like fashion, in comes Enemy, looking for that same play, but Nimble Strike away is Kali just in time. bchm ports back to the tower, and that's going to be that. He'll just try to hold this one.
Yeah, mid lane, there's a bit of pressure going on to Theboosh again. The rotation coming out from Vetium to try and pressure back this tier 1 tower in response. Snoopy still in the dual lane. So this aggression from TSM has been punished now by Enemy in the mid lane as they don't find that kill on Salt Machine. Instead, lose
Gold Fury coming back up as well as the fight continues over here in the right side lane. Salt Machine's going to port out over to the left side of the map. Still playing forward is TSM. They want to farm this up and find more picks. They're starting to get closed on now by Adjust and PainDeViande. PainDeViande looking for the ring on DaGarz. Certainly beats the way immediately. Both sets of beads used on the Assassins. Here comes Theboosh as well from the mid lane. And still on the left side lane is the Athena, where it's a 2v1 with the Neith, but bearing down the right side. And looking at the tier 1 here is TSM.
TSM coming out on top, though. Snoopy does get the tower in the left-hand side after that rotation to mid lane from Vetium. And now because of this fight on the right-hand side, looks like TSM will also get an additional tower here as well.
They're going to go for Gold Fury now as the tier 1's going to go down. TSM, they may make the call to keep pushing and trade the tier 1 and tier 2, for the Gold Fury. You can see Vetium started up. Snoopy,
they can't do it.
He's trying to disrupt fairly well. They'll get the taunt out of this one. Backflip just a little bit too early. Maybe rooting 2. Healing up now is Snoopy. He's going to try to kite away. Tier 2 tower really hasn't started taking damage yet from TSM. Yeah. He's going to try to make his way to the team, but the team not rallying to him, and there's a Hunbot in between Snoopy and the rest of the squad. Up into the ultimate goes Freya. Valkyrie's discretion is successful.
This is a problem for TSM.
Stalled out at the tier 2.
Big issue for TSM because now the rotation where Snoopy led them is all the way over to this right-hand side. So TSM going to be in a 4v5 on this right now. PainDeViande luckily in base, so it's a 4v4, but they do back out just in time and don't end up picked up. But the aggression's still coming out from Enemy. They're still looking for a pick.
And you got to think that whole time that Snoopy was calling for his team to come and support him. That's why he rotated that way, but no one even moved. They didn't get tower damage out either. Maybe a lack of calls or just straight up too much noise in the comms. I
agree. It's miscommunication again. I think the call to TSM there was like, guys, we'll do tier 2. Snoopy, just survive as long as you can. But Snoopy trying to survive ended up rocking to his team. And then the team didn't even get the tier 2 tower because the defense from Enemy was so good. And instead, Enemy managed to swing back in, pick up a kill for themselves, steal away a blue buff, and take the tower back as well.
TSM really just not looking the same.
struggling a little bit this game. I mean, they're not looking exactly the same. They're not on the same wavelength. For the most part, they're playing well. Mechanics-wise, they're good, but they're just not communicating about what they're doing properly, and it's causing them a few issues.
They try to burn the Athena, not going to be in time. Gold Fury. That's an easy one.
Easy one. They were really looking for the pick on Salt Machine there, but instead they're going to get punished by Gold Fury being taken away, and that will give enemy the gold lead once more.
Yeah, a comfortable one. They've moved ahead now, just over 2K gold, 5,000 experience to their credit as well. They've held the experience advantage the entire game as enemy, and they'll get a little bit more here as well. bchm going to go down into that ultimate, but there's 4 members in the Odin ring, smacking him around. That Humbot's ultimate perfectly timed, put bchm
a lot wasted
wall.
though. A lot wasted. He's still not dead. He's got charge prey away. Valkyrie's discretion. Will he find it? No. He lives with the Undying left. Snoopy finds a kill because of it. Vetium falls down. The leap away from PainDeViande, but he gets rooted.
Yeah, now it's enemy's turn to take the TSM route back to base. It looks like here they similar thing, overextended, looking for the kills. PainDeViande kind of ignored here.
Great use of those minions. Great use of those bright harpies to keep himself alive. But DaGarz is here, gonna try and find continued pressure. Will Weaver's gonna connect, but good beats from Khaos stops DaGarz from being able to chase him down.
Salt Machine, will they have enough CC? They won't. And TSM, they drop a sure kill onto the Odin. Snoopy failing to prioritize him there. But they do get a couple kills in return.
Look, is that Fire Giant call coming out from TSM right now?
Looks like it is, yeah. They think that it's going to be the mass back out of enemy. And they're right, except for Humbot. He's going to turn the corner and spot this one out. There is no fear, no evil. Eonic's here as well. DaGarz off the mark with Incense Bomb. And they're not taking down Fire Giant too quickly here. The Athena ultimate is still not off cooldown yet, so they don't have any more coming their way. Now they have the Athena ultimate and the Humbot's ultimate to use. Sobek trying to zone. Snoopy doing a he-can to burn down Fire Giant. Now down under 2,000.
No evils up.
Here comes the Sobek ultimate. It just comes in. It was secured there nicely by bchm. Sobek just very, very, very good at securing objectives there without lurking in the water.
I don't think this is worthwhile.
And in comes enemy, little by little, one by one, but it's just going to be too little too late. Khaos, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. DaGarz, yes, will get the kill, but not the heal. Nimble Strike away, adjust. He's going to make it out of the kiss range as well. Snoopy, he'll need another route to get a kill here. He'll be off the mark for adjust. Slowed down by PainDeViande, disrupting that shot. Kali, however, does live with yet another kill for DaGarz, 3, 2, and 6. And he's nearing closer and closer to those chin size. Fire Giant buff still active for TSM as they aggress at the tier 2.
And exactly what TSM are looking for here. They've got to the mid game now. They're linking up as a team. Snoopy, like I said, hasn't really been checked this game. 7, 3, and 5 now. He's managing to find the picks off where they've been trying to. They committed a lot for bchm. That's where it all started. They found bchm in the mid lane. They put the ring down. They used Fear No Evil as well. They still didn't find the kill till very late. And in the end, Snoopy made Vetium fall down in response. DaGarz, though, does get out here.
Yes, gets really, really low. He'll heal back up from the Aphrodite, though, and here's Boosh hasn't died in the last couple of fights, and the continued sustain from Aphrodite. The Ethereal Staff playing in there as well, getting a big base HP bump. And with that, they've been able to out-sustain enemy through the last couple of fights, and they'll get 2 tier 2s, a Fire Giant, and a few picks out of it, and TSM have taken now the lead right back from enemy, a very, very back-and-forth game. I think at the beginning of the season, if you would have said enemy and TSM were going to be evenly matched here at the end of week 8, everyone would have said you're crazy.
Especially when you saw the roster for enemy as well, because these names pretty much came out of nowhere. For the most part, everyone was like, this is not a good
yeah,
roster.
when they went from, you know, their identity being PainDeViande and Jerby.
All the way through to PainDeViande, Jerby, DJ Pernicus it was, and then it's now PainDeViande and Co. and friends. But big fight going on. PainDeViande starting to stay alive. Does leap out nicely to escape, but that ring now on cooldown means that TSM are able to aggress, and there's no anti-heal really available to stop them.
Tier 2 tower on the left side. That one's going to be free as well. Gifted to TSM here as enemies forced to go back and defend the base.
Enemy have done a very good job this game. I want to give them a lot of credit, but the problem is that TSM's comp is now hitting critical mass where it's hard for them to bring down the targets they want to. They want to bring down DaGarz, but if they want to bring down DaGarz, they've got to kill Boosh first. If they want to kill Boosh, then Eonic's going to save him, so Boosh stays alive some more. And then meanwhile, Snoopy's left alone to do what he wants, and you've got a Sobek up in your face consistently, disrupting you from trying to do those things.
And Snoopy's going to have some serious damage output here once he finishes off the Freya blade. Already the Deathbringer's done on top of 2 attack speed items, like Transcendence and the old power boots.
And it's not even an issue. Look where all the deaths are on the side of TSM. We've got 7 on Eonic and 4 on Boosh. They're the least valuable members of the team now. But what are they there for? They're there for the ultimates for the most part and keeping the teammates alive. And the rest of the team, all positive. That's what you want. It's not a bad situation for them at all.
Weakening just now coming out for Athena. Salt Machine's got that one picked up. That'll help out a bit with the sustained comp. They will obviously still get some healing out of it, but 65% reduction, nothing to scoff at.
they can start trying to pressure a little bit more. Now, with all the towers being down too, TSM now have map advantage. So get some wards down deep. Gold Fury coming up soon. Then the Fire Giant will be just after that as well. So continue to extend this gold lead now that they've managed to develop from, let's be honest, just holding on for the most part.
TSM in the bottom left quadrant of the map, hunting around the red buff of enemy. Enemy falling back to the Phoenix as Eonic plays forward in the left side lane. It does look like enemy is going to attempt some sort of assault here with 4 members on the left side Phoenix. In the mid lane, Kali, she blinks in to put out some harass on the Hun bots from enemy that was guarding that middle Phoenix, but rallying to his team now is DaGarz. Salt Machine plays forward a little bit. bchm underneath the left side Phoenix for TSM, looking for a pluck. He finds it, but he's starting to lose health rapidly here. Into lurking in the waters he goes. Odin ring used just inside of the range of the left side Phoenix as well. TSM falling low, but still surviving is bchm. Aphrodite just doing so much in this fight. The Khepri damage mitigation as well coming out yet again. PainDeViande moves forward. He wants to find more. Bird Bomb activated. Pluck off the mark from Eonic. And now it's the retreat from enemy trying to get back under their Phoenix, but they'll lose PainDeViande on the retreat, and the healing from Theboosh starting to factor back in. Salt Machine and Khaos from enemy back to their well. Left side Phoenix is conceded, and TSM has successfully broken the base now at 30 minutes. Looking for their second Phoenix here in the form of the mid lane.
They'll find this one too.
Group is all 5. It's just going to be the Athena, Agni, and Freya trying to put up this defense. Going deep is DaGarz near the Titan, trying to fight Agni. Vetium falling back as well to assist here. Not dead just yet as DaGarz. He'll be forced to pop destruction, but it will be enough to pull enemy off of the mark and net a second Phoenix for TSM. A 4-man taunt from Salt Machine. But TSM looks like they should still be able to get out of there as the banish does miss from Freya. Khaos could dash forward and look for something, but the birds are going to zone him.
So, at the Phoenix, what happened there was bchm went in aggressively, got blocked.
Oh, no, back in. Oh, back in. Vetium in a lot of trouble. The dot may be enough. Yes, it is indeed. DaGarz.
Turn around.
Blink in to the incense plus lash. All that bonus power is enough to clean up another kill on Vetium. He's down for a minute.
But go back to that fight of the Phoenix. What happened there? bchm went aggressive. Enemy bursted him down to like less than 10%, like 5% HP. But immediately Eonic ulted him with the blessing, and so they stopped damage on bchm completely because they waited to wait for that to run out before killing him, so he didn't revive back to a decent HP pool once again.
Farming up the orange buff here is enemy. Licking their wounds a little bit here as TSM has started up. The Fire Giant is down under 4,000, I'm sorry, 5,000 HP now, 5,500 and dropping.
The minions are causing an issue too because it's just giving away exactly where they are in the jungle.
They pulled a lane minion. They had a large lane minion pulled at that orange buff, and enemy completely spotted out by what is effectively a roaming ward for TSM. TSM hasn't dropped the aggro yet. They've pushed enemy off the ball a couple times. Fire minion streaming into the base, but enemy wants to make their stand here. TSM willing to fight as they get the Fire Giant successfully plucked. PainDeViande, he's isolated. Over the wall he goes into the orange buff spot, but bchm is there and has turned the corner, gets the tail whips, kill secure. Right bottom side of the map, TSM surging forward, looking for that right side Phoenix. The Titan has taken about 2,000 damage from the Fire Minion streaming in as well. Leading the charge is Eonic, the rest of the team behind him, as enemy's going to make its last stand here at the right side Phoenix. Can they hold TSM out? They're going to need 3 or 4 members down to get this one. Granted, they do have the range stun from Khaos as well as that ranged whoop, and Fear No Evil to follow it up. In goes the Athena to the left side of the Phoenix. Phoenix now getting fairly low and has fallen. All 3 Phoenixes have been wiped. Adjust, pulled back into the team. Eonic going to pull back a second one. Sobek and Khepri combination displacing so much of enemy. They're having a hard time defending here. TSM's through the choke now in the base. Fire Maiden streaming in as well, and Titan starting to fall quickly. 6,000 HP. But they've held off the aggro for now. In moves bchm, holding a lot of the aggro as well. Shield of the Underworld's going to be used there. Looking at the waters, he goes as well. Titan under 3K and falling 2K, 1K, and down it will go. TSM 33 minutes in, and down goes enemy to game number 1, Kali. It only took 33 minutes for the Kali to come online. Executioner chin size. It's enough. It's always enough.
It was more than enough. This game for me, on paper, when you just look at how that game played out, both compositions did exactly what they want to do the whole game. You saw the early game aggression, the composition that we saw of enemy. They didn't snowball it hard enough, and then TSM came online with their design. Enemy lost that game in picks and bans. They didn't lose that on the battlefield for me because they played better overall mechanically than TSM did. It was lost due to picks and bans for the most part. That's what it felt like, and you could see as the game went on.
It's kind of a strange thing to say, right? Because you get an Odin into a mass healing comp, and you're like, that should go to the Odin. But so now that we're at the end of the game, what's your hypothesis? Did they bait the Odin pick on purpose?
I don't know if it's the Odin pick on purpose, because I don't think the Odin did what he needed to do. I think the Odin pick was correct, but the rest of the composition that was already formed for TSM was just too strong, and then the final pick of Kali just rounded out the composition. We mentioned the Kali as well, but earlier on, we said that during picks and bans ourselves, well, you brought it up yourself, was when Afro got like, you were like, they could go for Kali here, and that's exactly what they did. They got the comp they wanted. TSM were happy with what they had.
Yeah, that's the Kali Never Dies composition. This was that bloody first blood engagement there, where that's where things started to look a little shaky for TSM, right? They had a massive lane push. The mid lane goes for the gank. Then the next wave comes in, and then the left side duo lane rotate. It just got a little weird.
And that was the big thing between those two, was the fact that the communication from TSM was off. And once they got mechanically outplayed, I said mechanically earlier that they outplayed them mechanically, but communication-wise, definitely outplayed communication-wise. A lot of mistakes from TSM in that game, but their composition helped them through. That was the big key there for that one.
But a huge factor in this one was Snoopy.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. He didn't necessarily get a tremendous amount done during the laning phase or even the mid-game phase of this game. What he really did was farm exceptionally well, and in a couple of high-pressure situations, threading the needle with some shots that pick up high-value kills. This one on the Odin here doesn't actually secure this one. That one was a little awkward.
His positioning was what was very, very important in these fights. They had to realize that the rest of the composition will be looking to try and pick off Theboosh, pick off Eonic, pick off DaGarz. So all he had to do was make sure he was away from those fights and dealing damage to support the team.
Also went for I think a really smart itemization route this game, right? The Transcendence, Boots, Soul Eater, Executioner, Deathbringer. Right, it just gave him stopping power, which is really what they needed out of him. They needed him to get enough farm to be effective. Exactly. Not enough farm to carry the game, just to make room for the Kali and be, well, good against towers.
I think the Soul Eater was just an addition that you don't necessarily have to go on the Neith there, but I think the Soul Eater was wise to go alongside Garz's Kali. That was key.
Let's take a look at the Alpha Draft's top performers here. Who did the best in terms of fantasy points? And a rare game in which the winning team is not all of the top performers. Snoopy does take the cake, though, at 38, followed by DaGarz. And then it's the mid laner and jungler from the other side, Khaos and Adjust.
Another two I mentioned during the cast.
And Vetium in the fourth place of Sobek.
Adjust has a very, very good transition onto this enemy roster, making a big impact. It's allowing Khaos
to... He's adjusting well?
He's adjusting very well. And Khaos is doing very well, too.
Yeah, he's done quite well for himself. Yeah, Khaos has had some really, really good games.
Well, this was it's allowed him to adjust. If we were just now moving into this roster as well, it's allowed him to be a bit more free roaming because Adjust has been very controlling and caused more issues. So it allows people to forget about him in the mid lane so he can get more damage out and cause more issues himself.